All right. Hey, let's get to it. We talk about the technical aspects of real estate a lot, and we skip over some of the things that are very critical to success. And it goes along with habits, it goes along with activities and things like that. So I want to talk to you guys and go over some critical pieces that if they're not in your daily calendar, you're gonna struggle. And especially when you look at new agents or those that are on a plateau, those that are struggling, you'll notice that there are things that are similar between anybody that's struggling in real estate, and that what that is that they're not doing these things. So let's start with a knowledge piece. Think about this. Cheryl, think back when you were a brand new agent, which was when, by the way?
22 years ago, 2001.
You got it. So think about 2001. So you think about that process. And when you came into the business, you knew everything about real estate and sales and how to answer questions and all that stuff, right?
No.
Oh, you didn't?
No.
So there was a lack of knowledge in the process, right? And so you think about knowledge when you come into real estate. And you guys have, those that have gotten a license already. By getting a license, you know more than the average person that's out there, correct? The challenge is that, does that give us confidence to go out and talk to people, right? Or you come to some of these classes and you hear Rich talking about the expired and the for sale by owners yesterday, right? Does him talking about that and doing the class give you confidence to go out and actually have the conversations?
Mm-hmm.
They tell you what he tells you.
Makes
what
you feel a little bit more confident, but not like 100%, right? Because you still have to have the time on task and the experience.
Exactly, right? We hear all of these things and we hear all of these different processes for lead generation. And there are, I don't know how many damn different forms of lead generation. And keep in mind, guys, they all work, right? But they all don't work for every person. And that's the challenge. Even when we find the one that works for us, there is a piece that's missing. And that is a competence level, right? So you think about a competence level. And Stacy, do you have a question? Your hand's up. No?
Oh no, I was just chiming in the confidence. Like, I called one FSBO. I took action after our call yesterday. That's all.
Good. Well, and that's good, right? Action's a big piece of it. And that goes along with this conversation, because like we all heard that. If you were on the call yesterday, 100% of the people on the call heard the scripts for expireds, right? 100% of the people on the call heard the scripts for sale by owners, correct? So why didn't we do it?
What's that confidence?
Confidence
and competence,
right?
Yeah.
Competence leads to the confidence piece. So how do you get the competence to lead to the confidence? Otherwise, we're at that critical junction where we hear the things, we write it down, we take the notes, but we don't act on that piece of it. So think about this. And let's think about this in a kind of 3 circles of progression in your competence level that will lead to the confidence level to actually put the stuff into place, right? And Victoria, you're right, practice, right? So you look at this, and if you're in the very beginning stages, and there's so many different ways to explain this, and you guys have heard, unconscious incompetence, and then conscious competence, and then conscious incompetence, and then unconscious competence, right? We have those pieces of it. And you look at this from just a mindset shift. And when you are first getting into something, you don't know what you don't know, correct? All right, we don't know. And then we hear it. So that means that all of a sudden what we're doing, if we want to implement that, we have to practice that piece of it. So many times in real estate, though, we practice on potential buyers and sellers. We go out there, actually talk to buyers and sellers, and we try these scripts and dialogues and things that we learned, and we screw it up, right? Which, by the way, when you screw it up with a buyer or seller, what's that cost you? Well, on average in the United States, it's over $10,000, correct? Because the average home price is now $350,000. I know you're going, man, we want Rich back because he was much more positive. This is a reality check for everybody, right? Because we all come onto these things and we hear them, but we don't take the time to actually practice what we heard. So if you had heard Rich's pieces from yesterday, the expired FISBOs, or if you were on Kurt's call, we were talking about the calendar and talking about the follow-up, or Eric's call, we were talking about prospecting and all the conversations there. If we don't practice the things that we're going to use, we're not going to be good at them and we're going to cost ourselves money. So you go from this process where you've got the first circle of practice and making it a conscious effort. And the only way to do that is to practice it. But you're still practicing and you're turning it into that conscious thought process, right? And take this, you know, if you look at an agent who's brand new or starting a new form of lead generation versus an agent who's experienced or has been doing that form of lead generation for 2 years, who's better? Hopefully the one that's been doing it for 2 years, right? We think that, but you think about this piece too. At some point, when you practice enough, all of a sudden, are you scared of any of the pieces or any of the questions that a prospective buyer or seller can ask?
No.
No, because you practice them, right?
Right.
You take that conscious piece of it and you turn it into an unconscious response, correct?
Correct.
Do we know every single thing that a buyer or seller can say to us? I mean, think about it. Do we know? Here, I'm going to do this.
Pretty much.
We do. The scripts are out there for anything that any prospective buyer or seller can say. I mean, if you think about it, there's nothing that we haven't heard. So where's the downfall? Is that we're not practicing each one of those things, each one of those prospective questions that they bring up. So what's that turn into? It turns into a process where we don't have the confidence and then the confidence to go and make those calls, to go and make those appointments, to talk to people out there. Is this like hitting home with anybody? Am I going, yeah, maybe, right? Because if we don't have the confidence, are you going to make the calls?
It's the same thing for agent attraction, right? You still have to practice your scripts.
All of it. Yes, exactly. Right. You know, and so here's what I want to give to you. There are two pieces to this, right? On your calendar every day, are you increasing your knowledge of what you're doing in your area and what real estate is doing in your area? So what do I mean by that? Right? How many of you can tell me what the absorption rate is in your city? Why would that be important? How many of you don't know what an absorption rate is?
Well, because you know how long places are staying on the market or how
Yep.
quick they're selling.
So what's that do for a potential conversation, Janice?
Well, it makes you knowledgeable of what's going on and how long they will have to take to move on or whatever.
It could help with pricing.
Yes. So let's talk about it from that perspective. If you're speaking with a seller, and let's say that your absorption rate is 7 months, what's your conversation on pricing that home with a prospective seller?
How quickly do you want to sell?
Which means what with their price?
Price it to sell.
Yeah. So if it's a 7-month absorption rate, are they pricing at market, above market, or below market?
I would say a tad below.
You got it. Depending on what.
Got to get the interest.
Yeah. If they've got to move in 60 days, guess what? they can't be priced what the home just sold for. They've got to be a little bit below it. Is this making sense? Right? But if you don't know the absorption rate, how can you logically explain that to a seller? Now think about this from a confidence level. If you know that and you know those absorption rates, are you scared of that question anymore? Yeah, but my home is worth this. Well, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, the absorption rate in this area is 7 months, which means that if there are no homes that come on the market, that means it takes 7 months for every single home to sell, regardless of what it's priced at. Oh, wait a minute. So what's your goal in selling? Well, I've got to move in 60 days. I've got a new job starting and I can't afford a second house. Well, if that's the case and you want it to sell before those other homes do, then we need to price your home aggressively, which means 5 to 10% below what the average market is telling us right now, so that it will move and it puts it to the top of the list of those prospective buyers that are out there going to buy. Y'all got
And I
it.
love to have the conversation too, Rob, about pricing with like that, where, you know, it's all well and good that this Mr. Seller thinks that it's worth X. It's really only worth what a buyer will pay for it. So your perceived value is not a real value. It's a value that the value is whatever a buyer will pay for, and you only need one buyer.
That's right. Right. So, and then you look at this with a seller. So how many of you guys could have had that conversation right there? Right. Okay. So you think about it from the opposite perspective. What if the absorption rate is 1 month? Now can you price a home?
You price it higher.
You can, right? Because you look at that process and that's your conversation with the seller. So now it turns from a emotional pricing point to a logical pricing discussion. Okay. Now, if you're not aware and don't know of what the absorption rate is, what are you basing it off of? Oh, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, do you have a price that you thought about selling your home and did you accept? How many of you have said that? Stop it.
Yeah, you need to come to the table as the market expert.
Yeah, stop it. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, here's what the CMA, here's what the comparative market analysis is, and the average agent's going to do is what they call a CMA. I'm sure you probably heard that. Well, the challenge with that is the average agent doesn't know what the absorption rates are in the market and how to actually strategically price your home to meet your goals. So when we're looking at that, we're going to look whether it's a seller's market, a buyer's market, or a stable market, and we're going to price it according to that and to relation with your goals so that we can actually get it sold in the time frame that you need to do it, and with the right price in the least amount of time with least amount of hassle to you. Does that make sense to you? Okay, great. All right. So you notice what these are, right? These are all scripts. By the way, can you have that exact same conversation with a prospective buyer? Yeah.
Yep.
Because if they're looking at a home and they're thinking, oh my gosh, this home is this home is $750,000. They have 3 offers. I'm going to offer 700. Mr. and Mrs. Buyer. Right? Victoria, thanks. Exactly as I just said. Yes, if you will rewind the video and listen to it again, it will be exactly like I just said it. Actually, I could probably come pretty close to that, because that's the see, and here's the thing about the practice piece of it, making it into a competence level, which of course leads to your confidence level. The discussions don't change. They don't change ever. The responses to questions that a prospective buyer and seller ask don't change. They're all the same. Their questions are always all the same. The only difference is it a buyer, seller, or balanced market? Right? And that's on both sides, seller or buyer side. Okay, so think about this. Do you know the absorption rate? And this is just one example, by the way, of how to increase your knowledge. And can you guys see how knowing these things can increase your confidence level and your competence when you're doing this? But we don't do this in real estate, do we? Right? So you think about this process and you look up the absorption rates and, okay, we have it for an area, but can that be different? And this is just one aspect of it, by the way. Can that be different for a specific neighborhood? Could you have a seller's market in one neighborhood and a buyer's market overall in the city?
Mhm.
You could, right? You can have a hot neighborhood, which means that the pricing is going to be different and your discussion is different. And do you think that any other agent is having this conversation? No, because they don't know it. They haven't looked at it, right? So, all right, every day, every single day, take 30 minutes to increase your knowledge about your market and real estate. If you're brand new, are you going and doing previews on homes that are on the market? That's huge. Because do you know, as a new agent, what XYZ neighborhood's average home is? Because aren't most neighborhoods, especially in sections, all the same? Yeah, that's why they built the neighborhood like that, right? So aren't the prices all the same? Unless they're just massive upgrades and something off the wall in there? Yeah, right? Do you know the neighborhoods that you work in and specialize in? Can you tell me if a neighborhood is going to average between 3 and 350 based on boo ba ba, or if the other neighborhood that's across the street is going to average between 4 and 450 based on da da da? Okay, what would that knowledge do to your confidence level? Increases it, right? Is it an overnight process? No, but if you spent 30 minutes a day going through some of these things and increasing your knowledge in the next 30 days, do you think you would ever be afraid of having a discussion about what the market is doing with anybody? Never, never. Your competence level, which leads to your confidence level, will be higher than 98% of the agents in your MLS. All right, so let's take that to one additional piece of it. And that's the other part that goes with the confidence, i.e. competence level as well. All of these scripts. So I just rattled off a couple of scripts. What are you going to do with them?
Practice.
There you go, Cheryl. So if you practice, let me rephrase that. When you practice, because I know everybody that's on here is going to go practice, correct? Everybody do this. Come on. All the people I can see. Yes. Javier, I can't see you doing that. Do this. Do this. Yes. Okay, good. Thank you. All right, perfect. Yeah, I'm gonna call you guys out if I can see, as long as I can see you. All right. So if you practiced, when you practice for the next 30 days, and you practice those scripts, whether it's Rich's expired script, Rich's FSBO script, my FSBO script, Eric's prospecting pieces, all of those, do you think that your competence level will increase?
Sure.
Do you think that that competence level will also lead and bleed over into your confidence level?
Yep.
Big time, right? Because it goes along with the knowledge piece. Again, you're going into those pieces where we know what a prospective buyer and seller is going to say. We know, take it for expireds as an example. Anybody work expireds? Okay, perfect. Do you guys hear the exact same thing from a seller regardless of what the situation was? Do they have the exact same 2 or 3 things that they're going to say to you when you call? Every single time, right? FSBOs, do they have the exact same things that they're going to say to you every single time? Yes, every single time. Does somebody that's a buyer have the exact same things that they're going to say every single time? Yes, every single time, right? So if you do that and you practice each of those parts of what they can say, all of a sudden your competence level goes up, which increases your confidence level, which means that you're going to be more willing to have real estate conversations. Is this making sense, by the way? Okay.
Yep.
So if you would take 30 minutes a day and increase your knowledge, and you would take 30 minutes a day and practice your scripts for the next 30 days, do you think you're a different real estate agent in 30 days?
Or quicker.
Or quicker, yes, or quicker. Do you think that all of a sudden your confidence level goes from here to here based on your competence level of increasing your knowledge and practicing your scripts and dialogues? Okay. Because we can sit on here and we can talk about these scripts and dialogues all day long. But if you're not doing those things, you'll never use them.
Got to implement.
Yes, we have to implement, but we won't implement until we practice them. I mean, we may try it for a couple of calls and then figure out that, oh God, that was too uncomfortable. But if you,
That's a stage of implementation though, right? Is the practice.
it is. But I wonder, Cheryl, I'd rather practice my scripts and dialogues with you on a phone call than with a real prospective buyer and seller. Because if I screw up with you, guess what? How much it costs? You know what it costs me?
Time.
Nothing. But if I screw up with a buyer or seller, what's it just cost me? 10 grand.
Yep.
10 grand. Guys, what you're doing, how is 30 minutes a day practicing your scripts? Is that worth, wait a minute, hold on. So if you did that, watch this. Here, let me put it into a fun way to do that. So let's take 30 times 5 days a week times 4 weeks divided by, oh yeah, there you go. So you're paying yourself $166 an hour to practice. And that's just if you mess up one buyer or seller. One. Is it worth you doing that? Yes. What if you're talking to more than one? What if you mess up two? Well, now you're paying yourself over $300 an hour just to practice for 30 minutes a day, 5 days a week for the next 4 weeks. You are paying yourself to get better. You're paying yourself to increase your confidence and your competence. Yes. Good.
Yes.
Yes. Makes sense. Okay.
Mhm.
Anyone who wants to practice. Oh, I like that. There you go. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Okay. Files from the past calls. Jennifer, they are in the Rockstar Agent Platform under the game coaching with the Alliance, that course. You'll see them all. Now, sometimes it takes me a day or so to upload the ones to there, but there are already, I want to say 60 hours of videos in there.
A lot.
Yes. And if you're spending more than 2 hours a day on these videos or 2 hours a week, stop it. Okay. All
30
right.
minutes.
You
No,
got
I just wanted to find the ones you were talking about yesterday because I couldn't be on yesterday's call.
yeah, Riches. That one will be up today. for
Okay.
that. Yeah.
Thanks.
Get a good one. Actually, no, I think that one's already up. I think that one's already up. Yeah. All right. So let's do this. Javier, scripts that we can download all through the Rockstar Agent program. Breakthrough has it, depending on if you're talking to buyers, sellers, whatever the lead generation is. Find the one that fits what you're looking for. Okay. All right. There, and guys, here, there's no shortage of scripts and dialogues, right? I mean, let's be honest. The scripts and dialogues are a dime a dozen. Find them anywhere. The key is find the one that fits the lead
Resonates.
piece. And that resonates, yes, exactly, resonates with you and that you can make into your own, right? Oh, by the way, here's another piece of this too. If you're just starting with a script and a dialogue, okay, you do not have permission to make it your own yet. Got that? Oh, Victoria's laughing. You do not have permission to make it your own yet. Why do I say that?
Got to internalize it first.
You gotta get it down first, and then it will naturally become yours. Trust me on this process. Trust me on this. It may sound funny to you a little bit, but when you do it about 10 times, 20 times, all of a sudden it's going to flow and you're going to start making it yours automatically. So read it word for word when you're first starting it with a partner. By the way, with your script partner, does your script partner start throwing things at you off the wall when you first start? No. You should be the most pliable script partner ever in the history of the world. Why?
So they can learn it.
yet because your confidence is not there yet. Get through part one. Learn where to put your feet. Learn how to breathe. Once you learn how to breathe and put your feet, then you learn how to bend your knees. Once you learn how to bend your knees, then what? Then you learn where to put your hands. Then once you learn how to put your hands, then you put a ball in your hand. And then once you put the ball in your hand, learn how to breathe, how to put your feet, where to do your knees, what to do the follow through. Then you get to shoot the basket. You guys got that piece, right? But until you learn how to breathe, you're not shooting the basket. Same thing in script and role play. Same thing with your partners. Be nice until you get it and you start internalizing the first part and then move to the second part. That's how you build upon a skill. And for those of you who have played sports, you know that's how it works. For those of you who have gotten good at whatever activity, hobby thing that you do, you know that's how you do it. You start with the first piece of it, and then you start building on those pieces. And same thing when we're doing this. All right, next thing. When you do those things, and think about this, we've got 2 minutes. When you do those things and you start doing this, do you think your confidence and competence level is going to drastically change in the next 30 days? Huge. Do you think you're going to have any fear whatsoever about having 3 real estate conversations a day? No, not at all. Not at all. And you realize that 3 real estate conversations leads to anywhere between $150,000 and $250,000 in income. Period. Because you just learned how to get into, you learned how to become an icon agent and learned how to cap wherever you are. You learned how to change your life and make a 6-figure income in the next 30 days. Do we need anything else? Is that it? Are we done?
That's it.
Okay, good. Have a nice day. No, just kidding. All right. What questions, comments you guys have? Has this been worthwhile, helpful? Absorption rate question? Go ahead, Stacy.
So when you say absorption rate, are you talking about just like I printed out the month's supply of inventory for
Yes.
like the county?
Yep.
Okay.
You got it. That's an absorption rate, right?
Okay.
And all of your, I'm not going to say all because I don't know all of them, but just about every MLS that I've seen lately, you can run an absorption rate or inventory rate, right? How many months of inventory are there if nothing else comes on the market? That's what you want to know. That's an absorption rate. And
So we calculate that, right? It's the number of units on the market divided by days on market.
And then, yeah, a little bit more than that. And there's actually a spreadsheet and everything that's in the platform. If anybody wants it, there's a class on absorption rates in there. Okay. Okay. What else? Okay. Here's my last thing. Put those times on your calendar. When you're going to spend the 30 minutes, when you're going to spend your 30 minutes of practice, knowledge practice, put those on your calendar. Because for those who were in Kurt's thing on Monday, if it's not on your calendar, what happens?
Doesn't get done.
Doesn't get done. Doesn't exist. Put it on your calendar. Make it a habit, especially for the next 30 days. Make it a habit. Everything will change. All right, y'all. Good.
Yeah,
Helpful.
very helpful.
Awesome. All right. I know this was not sexy and not about, oh, the best expired script and everything, but this is how you change everything in the next 30 days.
Yeah, this is important because it's like, if you know what to say, like you said, a competence is key.
Yep.
So,
Yep. And other agents are not doing this. They're going out and they're practicing on the next buyer or seller. And keep in mind, Kurt has his 7:30 call as well. So you got 2 opportunities every day right there.
All Eastern.
Yeah.
All Eastern.
7:30 Eastern and 9 Eastern. So for those who are in California and Washington, Cheryl.
Y'all should do the 7:30.
Yes, you should definitely do the 7:30 one. Absolutely. Cheryl's going, yeah, not a chance.
No, I actually have done his 4:30, my 4:30 in the morning time for him. It's just early.
Yeah, yes, exactly. That is, I'm up at 4:45, 5 o'clock, but that's gym time at that, and that's on the calendar. So that's, yeah, I'd do the night one after that though.